Here, Mike, is late game. And that is something that we know Aurora, from their previous time on their previous team, tends to enjoy. So if the game drags on, you've got Black Hole, you've got Chrono, you've got Mini Black Hole, you've got this tiny Captain Scale.
Yeah.
Aurora's falling back to their specialties here, Mike.
I mean, it certainly feels like everyone's got a source of crowd control here on the side of Aurora. What I'm kind of assuming is that the damage output is not going to be there is my problem, but we'll see if it all works out, I suppose. Have fun, sheep. Well, who's the sheep, JG?
I have no clue.
How dare he? Like Zhongdi.
Tips to Ollie.
Is that how you pronounce it? Zhongdi?
Zhongdi, I guess. I don't know. I think that's probably just Ollie's nickname for Ollie, I guess. Okay. A Chinese nickname, perhaps, perchance.
Hopefully it's not inappropriate. You know, I did just say
I don't think so.
I don't know what it means.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't think Castaway would bait us, and I'm familiar with the big Chinese curse words. Pretty sure that's not one of them.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, it's bro. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, our great observer, Elor.
Jeez, our observer's doing everything today. Even translating for us.
That he is.
My goodness. Aren't we lucky?
There you go. Very lucky, Mike.
Upside, GG and Ken going to try and bully Armel and Ollie away from this position.
The battle begins.
They'll be able to get away with it. It is going to be a 2-for-2 trade anyway on the bounty rune, so very even start once again. We'll start off with the mid lane while we're here as well. Of course, you are going to have the mid Pangolier being played by Ken against the Storm Spirit of Armel. How's this one going to work out?
I don't think it's the worst lane in the world for a Storm. It's also not the comfiest. Again, you have pretty good harassment coming in from Ken with Shield Crash and Swash. But Static Remnant is pretty spammable. You're really looking for your Vortex timing to feel great here. And Ken, he's actually holding back on his level 1. Just seeing what kind of style Armel will do. We'll go for the Shield Crash in the end. Still expecting Ken to maybe pull a little bit ahead, but again, not the worst for Armel. Level 3 timing if he does go for the Vortex up against a melee hero is fairly nice if a Storm can kind of look to play aggressive that way. Otherwise, a stable farming lane as long as he dodges the spells. As Ken gets more levels up, level 2 Swash or level 2 Shield Crash, with the shorter range of the Storm, can feel a little bit dangerous to be up close to the Pango.
Certainly can. Of course, down at bottom lane, CDR Castaway against Jabs and Q. So you're seeing those Eidolons get farmed up very effectively here by CDR and Castaway. Kind of already went over this during the drafting phase, but it's not just the acid spray that you've got to worry about, right? Like even just the Crystal Nova into the acid spray basically just melts all the Eidolons. A pretty rough kind of lane here for Jabs to try and go up against, and it does feel like the more Eidolons you spawn, the more you're feeding to CDR.
Yeah, but it's also a big kill threat lane as well for the side of Aurora. Once they have Malefice up, Malefice into an Avalanche and Tossback can get pretty scary for the side of Neon. So they also have to respect that. But they are getting a lot in the initial levels for CDR. You're not able to get as much from Jabs. This is more almost farm-oriented for Neon. They're not going to be looking to make their own aggressive plays. Just hold back from the offense that Aurora will look to bring out. As long as they don't fall into the Malefice Avalanche Toss combination, you're going to be fairly happy here with the farm that the Alk should be able to find.
There's a lot of damage Bombi's taking on his way out here. Ollie just not leaving the man alone. Actually has a blood grenade as well if he wants to try and snipe him. Was looking for maybe 2 more right clicks to throw the blood grenade, but doesn't quite get there. Still giving Savage a pretty good lane here for himself up against the Mars. 8 and 2 in terms of CS here for the Void so far. Mind you, JG's not having too bad of a timeline. They're a pretty even laning stage once again. Here between these two teams for the off lane of Neon. And I mean, in fairness, JG did win out the lane last game around, I believe, against 23 Savage. So see if he can do it again here on the Mars.
Yeah, so far, pretty decent presence coming out from both sides. I think the fact that Ollie can trade blows quite a lot better with Bombi does make a big difference, and that Savage isn't be completely shoved out with Time Walk on hand makes it a lot harder to pin him down. They're not playing around the downtime of Time Walk as well. Bombi's much more focused on ensuring that there won't be camp pults, won't be any disruptions to JG's build-up. So, looking to, again, just play the laning phase for the economy, not really looking for kill potential. Ollie doing a great job of just punishing that with his own right-click harass. and it does manage to get some does manage to get the block going again in the large camp. So both camps just staying blocked. Creep equilibrium where it's at feels pretty decent for Savage. Should be had.
Absolutely. First one yet to be drawn though. Bottom lane, they are getting rather low. Castaway trying to retreat, but he does go down. Jabs able to secure a kill here onto the CM. He got quite low himself on the Enigma, but obviously CDR, not much he can do alone. Does have to leave the Enigma to just walk away, and it's a great start already here for Aurora in this offlane.
That's the timing we were looking for from Aurora. Having Avalanche Toss, having the Malefice ready. Something like the CM can get easily run down. Boots are still a ways off for Castaway, so he's not going to be protected at all. That's a really easy setup for Aurora to try to feed off of. Even the level 2 Eidolon's just a little bit harder to melt down. And a little bit more damage coming out whenever they do manage to catch. Does make it easier to just line up these kills.
Chases out. CDR going to try and help out Castaway again, but Castaway taking so much damage, but Jabs also taking a fair bit. Thing is, he had plenty of one charges available. And that'll be another kill set up here by Q onto the CM, and poor old Castaway, he just can't do anything about it. As soon as he gets tossed into Jabs, he's just as good as dead.
And that's the weakness of the CM in that lane. And with all the chain stunts you have on Aurora, you can just keep doing this. There's no long cooldowns to wait for. It's not too costly in mana. You've got the mangoes ready on Q as well. And they've got the Lotus Pool control lined up their way for the next spawn on top of that. Starting to be pretty detrimental to CDR's lane. There's not much relief that can happen there. In fact, they've even dragged in Ollie to scout out here. Gets a nice ghost creep for himself on the chase. So they can look to maintain that presence. I mean, you're at the point where Savage doesn't need any backup. Level 2 Time Walk ready. Pinning him down is going to be a pipe dream for Neon. They've got their options open for Aurora to start camping.
They're going to find Castaway again. Poor old Castaway just made the walk of shame back up towards the bait, or rather the lane. Ollie, though, he's the one being chased down now as Bombi has rotated to ensure this can't keep happening. But Q does join the fray to boot. Castaway still trying to find a way of avoiding the damage incoming as Q does finally go down. The CDR able to secure a nice easy pick off onto the Tiny. I say easy, John, it did take quite a few rotations, but they make it work.
That they do. I like this read from Neon, understanding that top lane is not the lane that they need to help out as well. Same thing with Aurora. Set their sights down bot, get as much as possible for CDR to get going here. The mid lane's been the most static lane, although Armel finds a freebie.
Well, Bombi goes down. I believe he was trying to secure the power rune, but just gets chased down here by Armel. Keep in mind, Armel did use pretty much all of his mana. He has a little bit left, and well, he does have 12 one charges, so it looks like he wants to try and see if he can set up for something. There's 4 heroes here from Aurora to try and force this fight against CDR and Castaway. Castaway's going to just tank the gank by the looks of it here up against Armel. More TP's incoming, but it will not matter. The CM is gone. CDR, however, he is still on the chopping block if they so wish to chase him down. Pings are pretty accurate, so CDR is not out of the woods yet. He's going to run right into Q onto the Tiny. Jabs will turn right back around as well. They will actually force the stun onto the Yak to boot. He needs some help ASAP, but the help is not coming. The help is absolutely not coming as Aurora just throwing numbers at the side of Neon Esports this time around. And it does work out.
It's a little bit slow on the uptake there for Ken to TP in. Just TPing in way too late. Has the role ready to try to counterfight. But big wins for Aurora coming out in the laning phase. 1-5. And kind of trying to do what Neon did in the last game. Just apply pressure on this Alk. This game for Chidori is not going to be feeling great. Number 3 in net worth at the very least. Number 1 on his team. In a much better position than 23 Savage. But as an Alchemist, that's not quite nearly enough just yet.
Jump in again, Armel to try after the CM. Poor old Castaway just getting the absolute CM treatment. He will die a 4th time already. Almost 8 minutes into the game. This is just classic CM gameplay, John. This is all you do. You just end up dying.
And you do. They're only finding the CM at the very least on the side of Aurora, but the kills are starting to stack up. Smoke out as well, and a regen rune for Armel. All the luck in the world.
Absolutely.
And be able to go for more chase down here.
Barely misses out on the hoodwink, but could still think about moving south where Ken is hanging about on the Pangolier. Looks like Armel is eventually just going to show himself in the creep wave anyway, so no gank to come here onto the Pango. They didn't really have the vision to really go off of. So instead, just the setup onto the bottom tier 1 tower. There's not too much in the way of stopping this. Even Savage shows up just in case they need it. There will be no D1 tower trade either. JG just securing the time to farm, but not really getting any damage off onto the tier 1.
Radiant are scanning.
Yep. And the push potential of the side of Neon isn't that fantastic either. They don't have that much to kind of counteract it, whereas for Aurora you've got the Eidolons and the creep army of Ench at the very least. So you've always got some ways of bolstering up the creep wave. Neon still needing some initial timings. Like, I'm a bit surprised JG is queuing up the Mage Slayer first over the Blink. We'll see which way he goes. I think ideally the Blink timing's still bigger here for our Mars. Just the initiation on hand. It's going to be really important to follow through or set up for Ken to find these Rolling Thunders. The vision game from Neon is pretty spot on though. Good defensive wards, just watching the entire river from top to bottom. Pretty much a straight line of vision across the middle of the map. So they've always got an idea as to when Aurora's kind of going hunting here and just kind of try to dodge. Neon not going to be ready anytime soon for these fights unless maybe you find an opportunistic roll or arena opportunity off the back of a mispositioning play here.
They have been very quiet on Neon. Very quiet indeed. Kind of accepting the state of the game. CDR, 4th in net worth, obviously not having the game he would have hoped to have. At least the start of the game, that is.
Under attack.
We'll have a little bit of breathing room here in his own jungle to just get that farm going. In the meantime, though, Aurora just slowly starting to chip away at that mid-tier 1 tower. It's like Ollie's just sending creeps in over and over again to just chip away at that tier 1 tower HP. And as for Aurora, but they do jump the Pangoli now.
Ken?
He's fine. Ken's actually going to try and turn around here. Still had plenty of 1 charges plus the Rolling Thunder. It seems like nothing really going to come out of it, though.
Just testing the waters. When it does come down to farming, it does feel pretty good for Neon. It is recovery time for CDR. It's that build-up time for JG. He is going to gun for the full Mage Slayer first, which, considering the magic damage, I suppose is not the worst thing in the world. Chrono?
He's committed. The top lane, they have found themselves JG on the
Black
Mars.
hole as well?
Black hole. Just in case JG will finally die. So that was a Chrono and Black Hole being committed for the Bucks.
I don't mind that as much. I think, considering how slow this game is, if you're figuring that there's not going to be a big team fight, you might as well take that kill. It does go out to rather important here to find that farm. Savage needs every single tool he can get for that recovery, as he will be behind the Alch. And despite this rougher start for the CDR, it's just the nature of how the matchup will go. Alchemist will just be playing an Alchemist game. The side of Neon, though, recognize this as an opening. Smoke up into 2 supports. They've still got Arena. They've still got the roll ready. We haven't seen any of those spells used.
You don't want to see Savage go down here. AG's got the Arena up whenever. We'll try. Kind of leaning Savage forward a little bit. Savage being very cautious by that tier 1. The Spear is going to land perfectly onto the tree line. Can they just cancel all the opportunities he has to TP away? It seems like they Savage. Now get the time walk off eventually. Bombi's actually the one to go down. And Aurora, they will respond. Savage is still alive. Ken is desperately trying to chase, but misses out on the swash. Aurora, they are going to capitalize quite heavily here as they take down 2. Might even be a 3rd as JG forced to run the old-fashioned way. Looks like eventually is set to fall. Armel will zip forward and JG is as good as dead. Real shame as well, Savage. He was 1 hit away from dying. They never really committed the Arena, and that may have been the difference maker.
Yeah, I think going for the spear onto the tree rather than spear onto the arena wall made a big difference there. Just 1 hit from the shield probably would have done it from one of those soldiers on the wall. Miss out on that chance. 1-10. Aurora just dominating this game so far, and that was them taking that fight without the Chrono and without the Black Hole. I think the one thing that Neon has to be really concerned about is trying to hold down Armel this game. Pinning down the Storm is going to be the big task that is not going to be that easy. The Diffusal will try to simplify that from Ken, And that gold is coming in now. Just about 20 gold away. So that should give them some angles to stop Armel from just zipping around by burning through his mana. But the lead Aurora has is just worrying. 4k up against an Alchemist. It's not a good game state right now for Neon. Aurora, they're in charge. They've got these timings lined up. The Witchblade for Armel not going to be too far off into that Parasma. His damage is going to start to scale up from that point forward.
GG again being chased down on the Mars. There are heroes rotating over to try and ensure this Mars does die another time. Jabs, break the tree line. Does have Black Hole if he wants it. Chrono is also up. They might just commit these two spells again if they really feel like they need it. JG, they definitely won't now. He's just trapped between a rock and a hard place. JG definitely going down. At the very least, he has bought time for his Alchemist to get the Radiance up. So you are buying plenty of time for CDR, but Aurora certainly having a fantastic time in terms of the kill department. 1 to 11. Only 14 and a half minutes in.
Yeah, it's been slow going for Neon. Just not able to play as aggressively. The mid lane for Ken going a lot slower than I think they'd expect it to be. This timing on the defusal at 14 minutes. Not the timing that we tend to see from a good Pango game. They might be able to chase down Q, but I think he's a little bit too far forward, although.
Jump is there, stun is out. They've got the Tiny, however, Savage going to go for a Chrono. Only found one, and it's just going to be the Hoodwink, but now with the Black Hole. Jabs, he caught 3 of them. However, he is cancelled off immediately. Jabs will go down. CDR will follow, though. They've got the Alchemist gone. Armel still trying to man up, but he is completely out of mana. He is down. It's Ken. Well, Ken is still between a rock and a hard place himself. He will drop to boot a complete team wipe here for the side of Aurora, and an ultra kill for Savage.
Yeah, it's everything you could ask for on Aurora. A good Black Hole to set up, although he kind of canceled very quickly there from JG, but still manages to get the job done. That little stall while the Chrono was about to fade gives enough room for Savage to get his game going. Even though the Chrono is not the biggest in the world from 23 as well, it cuts off the key area of the map where you really wanted to bounce off of that for Ken, right around a cliff. So you had no easy angles to try to set up some additional Rolling Thunder stuns that you would have wanted. And now,
Castaway has been caught on the CM. He's going to try to run, but there's just no chance. Maybe they can think about going after Armel, but Armel will be able to zip out just fine. Things are just getting more and more challenging here if you are Neon Esports. Seemingly nothing going your way. The one saving grace is probably CDR, just still top of the net worth board, but he's nowhere near at the level he needs to be at where he can confidently fight back against this Aurora draft.
Yeah, needs more. Like, just being number 1 in net worth isn't enough for an Alk. He has to maintain, at this point, 2 to 3k, 3 to 4k actually, in terms of net worth lead. Like, at least one major item above the next core. You're nowhere near that on the Alk just yet. It's been, again, a slower game. Aurora, they're still lining up top here.
They are. Stun out, Ollie. It's JG. Pass back from Q, stunning up 2 of them, and now Armel just moves in. Taking down the Mars, taking down Bombi. Ollie with a double kill of all people. This game, it just gets worse and worse. And Neon Esports, it's unable to do anything.
Certainly not there. 4 to 19. Aurora in control of the game. Having the right responses at the right time, even without their big teamfight ults. They've just got enough control and damage with Armel and the others contributing in. And Q with his blink is a massive issue. He's able to clean up this very squishy backline. Like, you've got the Tiny and the Storm to have to worry about jumping onto your 2 really squishy supports of Hoodwink CM. It's not going to be an easy game to find that right position in comparison to the last game, where you had a lot of reach with Castaway. Now, he doesn't even have that reach. As a CM, you have to be fairly close to even utilize your spells. And without that additional root on the Frostbite, without even using the Freezing Field in something like the Arena, the damage feels a little bit lackluster on the side of Neon right now. Aurora, I mean, they could go again. That's the thing. It's not long cooldowns. Like, the focus point in the draft was Chrono and Black Hole, but now it's just the Storm zipping in and Q blinking around with its Tiny.
Yeah, it's certainly a very one-sided affair right now in Aurora. Definitely feels that they can just continue if they so wish. All spells are now up and available once again. Neon Esports desperately trying to get the BKB up on their Alchemist. Jump is there. JG has been caught by Armel. There is heroes smoking over to try and help JG out. But JG, he's forced to drop the arena early. He's got no speed to follow up at CDR.
Oh,
He
the
found Armel.
stun.
Black hole. It's been committed on the backside. They do at least find a Pangali, but that's all they get out of this. Meanwhile, the Chrono, it found 2 targets. CDR, he's forced to run. So is Bombi. They found Armel, but that's about all they're going to get out of this team fight. It's Bombi. Still slowly just dying. We'll go down to Ollie. It's CDR. He is not out of the woods yet either. He's still in the jungle. If they chase him down long enough, they will find him. But they may as well just look towards perhaps that tier 2 bottom tower. I say that Q is not done. Q, the avalanche cancel on the Twin Gates usage. CDR still just trying to run. A TP in from the Mars now. JG gonna join the fray, but there's just so many heroes around. Oh, Q set up perfectly. Even more value coming out from Aurora. CDR, eventually, he will go down.
Oh.
Although, a nice freezing field and a nice pushback blocking down a couple. No bashes from Savage either onto Castaway, but they've got the CM anyway. It just doesn't matter. JG is still just trying onto Ollie. They'll get the Enchantress down, but can they survive past that? They'll try at least on a Q, but now JG, he will just drop to the damage of this Tiny. It's Ken. Ken is the only man left standing, trying onto Armel, does find the Storm another time, but it's just such an expensive cost. Can he get out? It doesn't look like it, though. He does have another swash in one. He will commit, but immediately Savage jumping right on top. In fact, there's another. Bombi's not out either, but they will leave him. The respawns are too short. They don't want to risk another fight.
Ah, man, this is just... I love that Neon is willing to take these fights, but it's a little bit too relentless. Aurora, they've just got too much mobility. You have to worry about this face's Void jumping around. You have to worry about the Tiny, about the Storm. You don't have that much lockdown on your side. You don't have that mobility as well. With no blink just yet on JG, you need to be able to jump in. CDR does have his own blink ready at the very least, so there are additional angles to take on the Alk. And he's got his own BKB coming up soon. It is going to be a pretty big note for the next few fights, but you have so much BKB Pierce. Again, that's when it falls back to Chrono and Black Hole for the side of Aurora, which are going to be coming off cooldown rather soon, so they can look to go again. And Neon, they've just bled out way too much. CDR is still #1 in net worth, but it's just this Alk. Ken, JG, they've suffered in this game, to the point where Q almost has as much net worth as JG right now.
It's pretty tough. It is a pretty tough affair. If you are a Neon fan. Neon, they're not out of the game yet, but it just seems like there's so much catching up to do before they get to a stage where they can really put up a solid fight back up against Aurora. I mean, mind you, Aurora, that last fight, it did look messy at times, to be fair. You know, once those big ultimates are gone, there is turnaround potential, but it's just so much damage being dealt during those ultis. So now Roshan, I mean, it's going to get started, Aurora. They've got nothing to worry about. Every spell is back up and available. And they know that Neon are not in a position to try and fight for this, so they're just going to have to let it go.
Just have to surrender it. I mean, even if they were in position into Black Hole, into Chrono, doesn't sound like a good fight for Neon to even think about venturing into. Aegis picked up by Armel, 2 lives on the Storm, going to be nasty to deal with. Again, considering the lack of lockdown here. And Armel, he's got that full Parasma up. So every single time he gets a right click off, it just hurts so bad. The Parasma is such a menace. Parasma and Kanda, really, that's this patch story. I think those are the items that everyone looks at. And, I mean, for good reason. They're highly effective when you do manage to get the timings.
Oh, that they are. That they certainly are. Armel, hoping somebody shows in the mid lane now. Bombi thinking better of it, though. He might still go for the creep wave.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Still very, very patient.
Dire's top tower.
Thing is, the bottom tier 2 tower is just being casually forced in here by Aurora. They will get away with it.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Absolutely zero contest coming out from Neon Esports. Bombi still kind of being stalked here by Aurora, but they have not got real vision over the Hoodwink. Jump in, who have they got? Is going to be Castaway. The CM has just not had a game. Dying once again. Ken, he thought about the Rolling Thunder, but he sees the CM die and he just knows there's no point.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Yeah.
attack.
It's not a fight they can take. Ags is inching closer for Ken as well. Might as well wait for those additional swashes to come out with shield crash. And just hold on to what objectives they can. 7-27, Aurora
Dire's
in
top
very
tower
good
is
position
under
here.
attack.
Going for another smoke out.
Dire are scanning.
Yeah, they'll try to head north. Now, JG is around. Like, he's still a great target to focus down here on this Mars. And so they will not see him. We'll head down south. In fact, never mind. Jabs is eventually going to run into him. Mel will get the vision. JG. You can make the argument he's tanking a gank here for the team, but it just doesn't feel like there's enough gold incoming for this Alchemist to make it that worth it.
No, certainly not. Again, you're at the point where JG is basically at the same farm level as Q. Q, Blink, Yules, as the Phase Boots is going for the Echo Saber next. So, is looking to start to transition now into a little bit of semi-core still.
Q. Actually copying a stun, does hand a stun over to Armel as well. Don't really matter. Zip forward from Armel, just no fear in the world here on the Storm. Still with the Aegis up for another 2 minutes 15.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Q looking for the toss back, found Castaway again. Poor old Castaway, just gonna die another time before the fight even starts. They'll go for the Rolling Thunder, they'll try to Q. In fact, the Chrono now committed. Savage is locking down 2 of them. The Rolling Thunder does absolutely nothing here to the Void. They are still trying to fight this one out, but JG's now being caught. CDR joining the fray, trying to get something done for his team, but everyone is just so split up right now. Even a Black Hole being committed by Jabs. Hatching 2 cores. Ken is gone. CDR is gone. It's just a messy, messy engagement. And Neon Esports, they're not calling it yet, but it does seem like it's as good as done this game.
Is under attack.
Yeah, it looks pretty cooked for Neon at this point. Aurora, this is the Aurora we were looking for in the last game. Maybe just needing a little bit of warm-up, but kind of on cruise control in this one. Just having control, having that initiative every single time. And Neon left with very limited options. It's such a hard game. Like, you have to worry about Armel. You have to worry about your backline being jumped. Your Crystal Maiden is not even able to use Solar Crest on a core in any of these fights. Like, I feel like Castaway, when he does manage to use it, it's on himself right before he dies, which makes very little difference. 16k lead. Aurora take 1 set, 1 ranged racks on the high ground, pull back, but probably are just 1 fight away from clearing everything out here.
I could kind of appreciate playing to the last, last breath.
Radiant are scanning.
It only takes 1 team fight to come back to be absolutely fair. So when you're playing with an Alchemist Pulse 1, it feels like there's no coming back a lot of the time. Neon Esports rushing into that dire jungle, trying to find themselves at least a solo pickoff. Maybe Armel, who's already low in HP. If Bombi can find him with a bushwhack, he's as good as dead. But they'll miss out. Bombi, he was so close to having the smoke broken, but doesn't go towards the east where the storm was. Ollie. I mean, this is a target they can certainly look towards. Weezingfield was also committed. Problem is, there's just no damage incoming. Here comes Ken to try and help out. The Engine's still alive, finally going down, but it's going to be at a heavy cost. Castaway's gone. They will try onto the Pango now. The CDR is trying to go after Armel. They've gone to the Tiny instead. Q now being targeted here by Bombi, Ken, and CDR. Meanwhile, in the back, though, they're going to lose JG on the Mars. It's still not looking like the greatest team fight here for Neon, but they'll try for more. Armel and Jabs dropping low to Ken. Ken desperately trying to secure some kills here, but Armel is just manning up with the damage and Brune. Ken, he'll find one of them. Maybe he can find another here onto Jabs. Maybe he can keep going. But he's out of range now for the swash. Still, it's the best fight they've had in a long time. Neon Esports showing they are not out of the game yet.
This'll come in handy.
They aren't. They're staying in it. The damage output from Ken with the Ags and Shield Crash doing quite a fair bit of work. The side of Aurora now finally getting some punishment for not having all of their spells off cooldown. Jabs does get Chrono off now, but even then, like, really good angling out from Neon. You see the difference it makes when Castaway can live through Mike. He gets the Crystal Nova off, gets the Frostbite, manages to use the Freezing Field, and that slow cut off Savage. Like, who was stuck across the tree line? He couldn't get in to help. He already used Time Walk in the middle of that fight as well, so couldn't angle in for a better use in Chrono or some better positioning to just get some damage off. And that's the one difference that it makes. You also had Armel very far back just using the regen that was on the expired Aegis to come back in. But that was just some great circumstance for Neon. If they can manage to find the same circumstance where Armel's not able to zip through instantly and pop their backline, you can still look for openings on Neon, but I don't know if that kind of opening will present itself again. And you can do it once, twice? I don't reckon so. But if Aurora are careless, Neon can certainly capitalize on that.
It's coming together. Neon, I want to believe they're going to give us a close end to this game. And Aurora, of course, you don't want to see them throw this game away. Of course, if they lose this game too somehow, that is them going down to the lower bracket. They are far from that, though. They are going to go for a 4-man smoke up here. 97% win probability still sitting there for Aurora. It only takes one fight to change that. But for now, especially with the draft that they have, they are looking like the much stronger team. They'll head down south towards Ken. Ken's a big target. Dip is there, Vortex is out, and Mapango just cannot survive. Though a nice arena, but no, the bashes coming in from Savage, not allowing the getaway. JG at the very least is able to get himself out of there. For now, though, Armel is still chasing and does get some vision over the Mars, but is out of mana.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
On the high ground they go. You still have Chrono, you still have Black Hole. It's a very hard defense to ask for if you're Neon, especially without their mid-Pangolier available. You don't even have Arena to fight with either. It's just such a tough scenario now. Q jumping in again, gets a nice toss back on a Bombi, and Bombi is just deleted. CDR, but he breaks the Lincolns of Savage, but that's about all he does. It's Aurora through the bottom lane, they'll go into the mid. There is still a T2 tower standing at that top lane, but Castaway. It's kind of the thing with Q Tiny, right? Like, it's a hero you can't give this man. He's just too damn good.
Oh, yeah, definitely a nice little play to try to steal back the gem with the courier. Does still go the way of Aurora. Yeah, Q Tiny just does so much work. He does switch his item build. A while ago he was queuing up the Echo Saber, is just going for the BKB instead. But still, just finding the back line, not even putting that pressure onto Armel. It's just been Q with some follow-up from Armel. Takes care of that. Neon, their high ground hold is... It's alright, but it's not, like, amazing. Like, it's really just down to Chrono and down to Arena and down to some great usage of the Rolling Thunder here. You've got the Basher up on Ken. That can help the cause, but you're two lanes behind. You're 19k behind with the Alchemist in this game. And your Alchemist is 1k behind the Faceless Void. This is the point in the game where the Alch does feel a little bit like dead weight. And Chidori is just going to try to go for his own Basher and hope for the best in the middle, but Roshan set to respawn. Roche control with Aurora. Neon is still hanging around the arrow. Around Roche here, though.
They certainly are. Arena down, but 23 Savage. He gets the BKB off in time, and now the Chrono! It does catch one. It is the Pangolier being caught in that Chrono, just on the edge. Meanwhile, JG, caught again on the Mars, is going to go down. Roshan completely available. They don't want that, though. They want more kills, and they're going to fight Bombi. Trying for the TP play out will not make it. Q will take a double kill on the Tiny. Just where does it end?
It should end here. With this Aegis, I don't know how you hold high ground on the side of Neon. You should still have time to respawn here for Ken. But that is a really heads-up Chrono from Savage. Blocking off the Pango. The one here that really needs to be able to try to get that Rolling Thunder off. And just isn't able to. Neon starting to run out of options. 10 to 41, 22k lead up. It's just a matter of cleaning up now for Aurora. And for Neon, if they can do something special in the high ground, it's boiling down to that. Like, another circumstance where perhaps Armel isn't able to jump in. That is the ideal here. We'll see. 2 lives in Savage.
Radiant's top
Not an easy
tower
target
is
to go
under
for
attack.
already. With a secondary life, I don't know if you can manage it.
I mean, it's going to be pretty tough. We'll see what Neon can do. They are still holding on to this game number 2. Up in, Ollie is going to be the target though. JG misses out on the God's Rebuke immediately. Savage, more than happy to jump in. Mel's there as well, and Q with the setup again. 3 down immediately for Neon Esports. Jab's even finding the ping on the side. Just commits the black hole. Ken, he does at least buy some space for CDR, but not much space. CDR still being chased here by Q. GG's call. They have seen enough. And Aurora, they will secure game number 2, forcing us to a game 3 of this best 3 series. And I'll say it again, John. I mean, this Q tiny throughout minute 0.